Chechens, Jordanians, some of them just crossed the border. What's going on?
Well, this thing of our military bases getting penetrated by foreign nationals is happening more and more. This is something we see probably 2 or 3 times a week, where we're stopping these folks at the gate. With
a week.
A week at least, and this is just Navy alone, where we're seeing folks try to come in, and usually the cover story is, I'm a student, I'm here, I'm an enthusiast, I want to see the ships, that type of thing. We have to turn them around, and typically we get NCIS involved with those, and we get biometrics when possible. But yes, there's been an uptick in that.
Do they have passports? Do they have?
A lot of times they have passports.
Papers?
They have papers, yes, but they're in no way, shape, or form authorized to be on our base. And it's really hard for us to tell the underlying motive for these type of cases.
Wow, that's stunning.
It is.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I was just shocked by this. So much stuff came under the radar this weekend because it was a holiday weekend. That was Admiral Daryl Caudell. He is the head of basically operations for the Navy. Special Fleet Services is what it's called for the Navy. And we heard about this story 2 or 3 weeks ago where somebody came to a base and tried to get on and at Quantico. But he's saying that on their naval bases, 1 to 2 times a week, more than once a week, foreign nationals are coming up to the gates trying to get in. And more than not, the story is, oh, I'm a student, I'm this, I'm an enthusiast, I just want to see the ships. That should be pause. That should get you some pause there. Someone just walking up to the gate of a military or driving up, however they come up. Because there's all those since 9/11 are pretty secure. And you can't just walk onto a military base. Okay, so I feel fairly confident that if they don't have documents and they're not in the military, they're not going to get on the base. But maybe they're coming and they're asking now. But what if they charge the gate? Maybe I'm being a little too action movie about this, but what if sometime they charge the gate? What if sometime they get in? I mean, there are some public days where they allow the public on bases for different reasons. And what if they're infiltrated with that? My biggest concern about illegal immigration, while there's the economic concerns, there's the stress on the system's concerns, there are the overwhelming use of resources concern. There's a whole list of concerns that come with this open borders. On top of that, there's a guy in Arizona that's going through the Arizona desert and picking up documents that have been shredded and left in the desert and putting them together and finding documents of military-age males from countries all around the world that they're leaving in the desert so they can present themselves as any country they want to when they get to the border, and they're getting processed even though they don't have identification. They're saying they don't have identification, and they're just telling our folks who they are, and we're believing them and letting them come in. I mean, it's shocking when you see the whole layout. You can see it on Fox Nation. It's one of the specials on Fox Nation. You can see it all laid out. It's shocking. So we've got that going on. But for me, the biggest problem with illegal immigration right now is the national security aspect. There's 180 some, I quit counting, 180 some people that have been turned around that are on the terrorist watch list, but there's 1 million gotaways a year. And that's just the people that the Border Patrol eyeballed and saw go across and they counted. But how many people did the Border Patrol miss? And how many of those people are on the terrorist watch list? And what's going to happen? I'm terrified about what may happen between now and the election. And I know there's a lot of folks out there that are going to say, what about the immigration bill that was put forward last week? Well, if we'd done that, then we'd be in good shape. And by the way, the Border Patrol union supported this bill. Okay, well, they may have. They also supported House Resolution 2 that was passed 15 months ago and sent over to the Senate. They want change. They want change in the system, okay, because they're overwhelmed in the work that they're doing, okay? So what has to happen is not to give up. That's what they did last week. They gave up. They gave up because they took a vote. It didn't go forward. They gave up. Instead of doing the logical thing, which, okay, let's put this bill into committee. Let's spread this out into committee. Actually, from the time it was introduced to now, they could have gone through the committee process, but they didn't because they'd rather blame Donald Trump and the Republicans for not doing anything in their mind. I put air quotes around that. Than to actually get the work done. What should have happened is they get the bill, fine. 3 people negotiated it on the Senate side in the White House. Take that bill, put it in committee, go through the committee process, bring it to the floor. Because if it goes through the committee process, you can probably get it on the floor. And then add certain provisions from H.R. 2 as amendments onto that bill, pass it, send it back over, force the House to do something about it. That is like the old school way of doing it. That is like how a bill becomes a law way of doing it. You know, you remember Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law? I think we need to send that. What you all ought to do, find that on YouTube, send it to your congressman. Actually, send it to the Democrat congressman because they don't understand this process, how a bill becomes a law. This could be fixed, folks. This could be fixed if they wanted to. They don't want to. Okay? And when I say they, I mean both sides. Both sides do not want to. The Democrats have done enough now that they can, if there's a terrorist attack, they're going to blame Republicans. Okay? But Republicans have actually passed a bill, got it in process, put it out, sent it over to the Senate side. Democrats had a bill, it was a bipartisan bill. I agree. It was bipartisan. 3 senators, 1 from each party, Democrat, Republican, Independent, and the White House. In the time since that bill was first put out there, and now they could have gone through a committee process. They could have gone through a committee process, but they didn't want to. They would rather blame each other for nothing being done than actually get something done. And that is what frustrates me with the way these folks are right now. I appreciate John Ossoff being on talking about this. And I appreciate him imploring me at the end to reach out. But I say the same thing back to him. You work in a bipartisan way all the time. Why aren't you reaching out? Senator Warnock, why aren't you reaching out? Senator Cruz, why aren't you reaching out? It's a two-way street, folks. And until we start accepting that, we're not going to get anything done.